What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Monday Night Rants, the Week 3 edition on this September 24th of 2018. I think it's still 2018. Anthony's with me. Anthony, is it 2018?
It feels like it.
Okay, good. I was just making sure. What a game tonight. At first, at halftime, I was like, oh, geez. Here we go. It's going to be one of those games, blowout game. Fitzpatrick looked terrible in the first half. 3 interceptions, 1 for a pick 6 that he threw way over the top of, I think, Cameron Brate right to the guy. He looked terrible, to be honest. Alex wants to talk Jimmy G. We are going to be talking about Jimmy G, or Jimmy No Knee, as we'll call him now. Fitzpatrick looked terrible in the first half, great in the second half. The first quarterback in NFL history, and we're not talking about Mahomes for once, but the first quarterback in NFL history to throw for over 400 yards in 3 straight games. Now, as terrible as the announcing crew is on Monday night on ESPN, it's absolute the worst it's ever been. I like Jason Witten as a player. He's a poor man's Tony Romo, and he's very bad, and it's very boring. And they were so quick to say that the magic was over before halftime. It was kind of funny, actually. And everyone's just waiting for that. But Boogie, bless his heart, Boogie McFarland was still calling him Fitz Magic all the way into the third quarter, which was pretty funny. And why do we need halftime shows on Monday night games? Halftime show, commercial free, with a live performance from Flow Rider. So we get, wow, a live performance from Flow Rider, and then it shows it, and it's a music video that was pre-recorded. It was pretty terrible. Did you see that halftime show, Anthony?
No, but I saw on Twitter how everybody's kind of staring at each other thinking Flow Rider's going to be at the stadium, and then it's just on the Titantron. You're like, here he is.
Yeah, in a music video, a black and white music video. They say he's going to be live. He was there, though. He was there with his Flow Rider. I saw him before the Tony Dungy thing. But why do we need halftime shows on Monday night? Come on. That was a pretty good game. Had a good game last week, too. Right win. And it was like on cue, right? Fitzmagic had his chance. You know, they got the ball back, 3 minutes to go. You think, oh, here we go. He's going to at least go down there and get in field goal range or something and do something incredible. Here it comes. They go 3 and out and 3 terrible throws. And they get the ball back. And the announcers all at the same time said, here's where you need Le'Veon Bell, because Le'Veon Bell is the one that can close out this game. They really need Le'Veon Bell. And then, boom, James Conner goes out there and goes, Le'Veon Bell here. Who? What's his name? Hold my beer. Boom, 2 first downs from James Conner. 2 huge runs. Which really helped them seal the deal. So, really, that just hurt Le'Veon Bell even more. So, I heard rumors of him talking about trade and sign, which I've been talking about since this happened before the season started when we found this out, that first Monday, that he's going to get traded. I still feel he's going to get traded. And I guess the Jets are the latest team that's interested in that whole drama there. So, good luck to the Jets. And the what will they give up for Le'Veon Bell? How many draft picks? Because it's going to be a good one if it's a first rounder. But why do the Jets need him? I mean, yeah, they had a great week 1, but they haven't looked too good since. So, don't really think the Jets need Le'Veon Bell. It'd be kind of a waste of a. And are they going to sign him long term? Do they have the money, Anthony? Do they have the money to sign Le'Veon Bell to the biggest contract in running back history?
You know, I think they have the cap. Isaiah Crowell signed, I think, on a 2-3 year deal. Was it too much money? But yeah, what are they going to offer the Steelers? He's pretty much going to be a rental. So whenever they trade for him, he's going to get that many games this year, and then they're going to have to re-sign him long term. And you're talking, you know, Gurley got 15 a year with 30 million guaranteed. What's Bell going to ask? You know, it's going to be something crazy.
Yeah. More. Oh, look, Fitzmagic is behind me talking at the podium right now, but he isn't wearing the Conor McGregor digs. A little disappointed. I think you should rock it when you lose, too. Conor would. Just saying. So there you go. Yeah, I'm with you there. If the Jets trade for him, not only are they going to give up a lot to get him just for the end of this year, then you got to give up a lot to get him. like full, guaranteed contract, some crazy amount. And, he hasn't played. He hasn't worked out with a team. He hasn't been in facilities with teammates. He's been celebrating his rap single release at a club. That's about all he's been doing. So is he really football ready at this point too? That's something we got to think about. So anyways, enough of it. Move on. Let's move on from Le'Veon Bell until I'm done. I've talked about it enough. I've shed no tears over Le'Veon Bell. And I think I'm not going to talk about it until he's either A, traded, or B, signs. So Le'Veon Bell, goodbye. That's right. DMX back to the show after missing a week. He was on vacation last week. He's here and he says, get out of here. So, Anthony, besides tonight's game, which, they are who we thought they were type of situation there. And last night's game, which was something as well, which we'll get to later. What game over the weekend surprised you the most?
You know what? I'm going to go with the obvious. It was that shellacking in Minnesota that the Buffalo Bills gave to the Vikings, which I have nothing. I don't even know what to say to that.
They shocked the world. They took down Ali. Down goes Frazier. For once, people were talking about that instead of Mahomes, and Mahomes still had another good game. So that was good. I heard somebody compared that game, and I literally wanted to put my head through a window when I read this. They compared Josh Allen to Johnny Unitas.
Holy cow.
I know it was about the run where he dove over the guys. Okay, I get it. But come on now. Come on. Johnny Unitas and Josh Allen do not deserve to be in the same sentence, paragraph, novel at this point. So that was pretty ridiculous. Now let's talk about that game a little bit because it was the surprise of the weekend. I have some shares of Diggs, and I have some shares of Kirk Cousins, and I have some shares of Dan Bailey, a lot of shares of Dan Bailey. And Dan Bailey still has not kicked a professional field goal this year.
Has he attempted one yet?
Nope, not even an extra point because they decided to go for two even though they were getting shellacked. I was like, come on, give me something here, at least 1 point or something. But nope, no, that's not how that works apparently. They're going to go for two and fail. Was it just that the Minnesota Vikings may have been looking past the game? Little fatigued after the tie overtime game the week before? And they just were not prepared for the Bills?
I think it's all the above. When you go to a game like that and you're getting shellacked 17-0 at home against probably before Sunday, everybody probably would agree that the Bills were probably the worst team in the NFL.
And
hands down.
When you have a game Thursday, right, coming up soon.
Oh, yeah.
Which Todd Gurley has already came out and said that Thursday games are BS. I think we all agree. I don't like Thursday games. I hate playing fancy players in Thursday games because you never know what you're going to get. You think they kind of mentally prepared for both games and kind of overlooked the Bills there? I think you're right. I think they kind of just overlooked them. Like, this will be easy. We'll just sit out Cook. We don't need him this week. We got Latavius Murray. Blah, stinker. Everyone who picked him up and started him, stinker. Latavius Murray should be called Les Stinkiest Murray.
The what?
Les Stinkiest Murray.
Oh my, that is.
I know. I played him in DFS in a lot of places, and he was terrible. How do you?
No, yeah,
He couldn't even run 2 yards against the Bills' mighty, ferocious defense. So
that's unreal. Yeah, because like you said, there's probably a lot of DFS players stacking up on the Vikings. In your lineups, I know I started Latavius Murray in a few leagues, thinking I've been holding on him all year, thinking, all right, here it is, the moment of truth. I'm going to show out. And if you were playing in a standard league, he gave you practically nothing.
Nothing.
At least he had 5 receptions in this game.
Yes.
But
garbage time receptions. So let's look at these stats here real quick. Let me pull it up.
Oh, don't even look at them. They're so all over the board when you look at these stats because it's not like Josh Allen had a phenomenal game either.
He had two rushing touchdowns though, like Johnny Unitas would have done.
Oh yeah, just like Johnny Unitas.
Yeah, Josh Allen went 15 of 22 for 196 and one touchdown pass. 39 yards rushing with those two touchdowns, but he also fumbled the ball 3 times. Now, I think 2 of them were recovered by the Bills, but still, that's not a great game. You would expect him to be at what? 300 yards passing in this game, in this affair, the way it looked? But no, it was just really the Buffalo Bills defense pretty much destroying my boy Kirk Cousins and getting the ball in their territory. So they didn't really have field to go when they got the ball most of the time. So it's kind of easy for them to get down there and either get a field goal or get the touchdown. Chris Ivory was the man that stepped in, 20 for 56. That's terrible. Terrible. Marcus Murphy had 8 for 33. Kelvin Benjamin, 3 for 29. Like, if you look at these stats, you're like, how on God's earth did the Buffalo Bills win 27-6, and they didn't even score in the second half?
Oh my God! Yeah, if you bet any money on this game or you had a lot of fantasy players, you're pissed off at the end of it.
Yeah, you are. Kirk Cousins went 44 for 55. 55 attempts in this game, and they only put up 6 points. 55 attempts, 296, 1 touchdown, the 1 interception, but of course the 2 lost fumbles were huge, what kind of set the tone for this game. And the anomaly, as I would call it, of the season, and this could very well be the only game Buffalo wins all year, but you know what? They're not going 0-16.
You know what? There's hope.
There's hope for there?
There's hope for there, right there.
Oh.
If someone marries me,
interesting defense
there's
pick.
hope
like
for there.
That's right, Buffalo Bills. There's hope for there. More on the there is hope for there poll of the week, which I saw on your Twitter, and I actually got involved in it a little bit. Had to make sure somebody was correct in what they were saying a tiebreaker is, because we all know head-to-head does not count as a tiebreaker in the NFL.
Oh, I know you know that.
Yes, as a Charger fan, we all know that. Speaking of the Buffalo Bills. So anyways, moving on to some of the games. We'll go to Thursday real quick because we have to mention the time has come. LeBron James no longer owns Cleveland. They still don't care about their Indians, even though they're in the playoffs every year at this point. But Baker Mayfield just gave the city of Cleveland free Bud Light for a night. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to be honest with you, Anthony. He looked good. And that's not a bad Jets defense either.
Oh, no, not at all. They shut down the Lions 2 weeks ago. That's I hate to say it. I was not a Baker Mayfield fan when he got drafted first overall. I'm not going to lie. It wasn't the beer talking. I was cracking up. I couldn't believe that the Browns fumbled it once again. But for him to step in at halftime, they were down 14-3, and you could see the electricity in that stadium. It was...
they were calling his name. And right when he came in on that drive, immediate spark, immediate electricity. His first throw was a bullet. He went right down the field. He was completely changed that offense. It's like even the offense was like sparked. Like it's unreal. So, and Carlos Hyde was like, "Hey guys, remember me? I can play football." I think it was his birthday and his kid was being born, which is kind of weird because I guess his kid would have the same birthday as him, but I guess it was midnight by the time, so it would be the day after. But still, that's kind of odd. But,
close enough.
Yeah, but Carlos Hyde was on a mission on that game as well. It's good to see him playing healthy. Good player. Good guy, too. And, Baker Mayfield is the real deal. I think I'm not going to say pick him up in fantasy. I have a waiver wire quarterback you'd probably want to pick up over him. And don't stash him. For what? What are you going to stash him for? What are you going to... He's going to sit on your bench. I got Baker Mayfield on my bench. He's going to give my bench spark. No, it's fantasy, idiot. But you know what? In a good matchup in DFS, or let's say one of your big guys, quarterbacks, go down, you may have to play him for a week if the matchup is right. And that defense for the Browns are going to keep them in games this year. They have a really good defense. I played them in fantasy, and they killed it. A great defense over there with some of the young guys they drafted last year. I can't believe I said that. Are actually coming through for them. and they look good as well. So I am a believer in the Baker Mayfield era as it starts. Tyrod Taylor was only a matter of time. And that poor guy, though, let's be honest, Anthony, did you watch that game, like, in the complete fullness?
Well, I watched early on. I saw him miss a wide-open Antonio Callaway, and I figured, okay, Jets are going to come over here and just stomp on him. No need to watch it. And then my phone just started going crazy, just the Twitter world. And then I clicked on, and I just saw, I'm not going to lie, Baker making throws. Ugh.
Making them, too. Like, darting them down the field.
There.
Darting them. Yeah, Callaway had 10 targets, only 4 receptions. And all of that was really, well, except for the one that he dropped that Baker Mayfield put the dime over his head. There was all just Tyrod Taylor being terrible. But, let's move on from the Thursday game. But, yeah, Tyrod Taylor just, in that second quarter, when the crowd booing, calling for Baker, you could tell he was dejected. I think some of that injury was just him not wanting to go back. I really feel like it was him kind of half-fasting that injury, to be honest. Just saying. He looked dejected.
Would you want to go back out there? You're thinking, okay, I'm kind of dinged up. And then you hear everybody just echoing, Baker, Baker.
Yeah, so Baker Mayfield.
I will give it up. The Cleveland fans gave us hell of a memes Thursday night.
Oh, I started texting you. I said, have you seen some of these? And we were laughing for a good hour, like chuckle laughs with some of them.
So, Cleveland's meme game is for sure
on point.
Legit. On point.
Yeah, well, congratulations, Cleveland. Looks like your future Johnny Manziel is there. I'm just kidding. I like Baker more than I like Johnny, so there you go. All right. Man, I don't even know what to say about this guy anymore, but NFL record for most touchdown passes through 3 weeks of a season with 13. Pat Mahomes, the best player in the NFL of all time in the history of the world, the MVP of this year and the next 5 years, 4-time Super Bowl winner, and 8-time Hall of Famer, Pat Mahomes. Man, the golden boy of football does it again. Goes out there and pulls off a triple-double, 3 touchdown passes. Could have had more if Kareem Hunt didn't run all those 1-yarders in. And, again, everyone talks about the one where he scrambled right and threw a dart across his body to the back of the end zone. Great throw. The other 2 touchdown passes, not good throws. He's still inconsistent with his throws. Just nobody can cover those receivers. Except Patrick Sherman did Richard Sherman, sorry. Pat Mahomes, Fitzpatrick. There's Pats all over the place. It's driving me crazy. Richard Sherman did a great job on Tyreek Hill. Really shut him down in this game, to be honest. He was, 3 receptions? No touchdowns?
No, especially Sherman, obviously he's not the young guy he used to be. I figured he lost a step. But, yeah, to stay up with Tyreek Hill, which is
There was one, I think, 30-yarder in the end zone where he stayed with him the whole time and batted the ball away from him, which is really impressive.
That's big credit. But, of course, just like everything else in San Francisco, he got hurt.
Yeah, that's right. Well, Breida, a non-contact injury, goes out, and I'm texting you. I said, Breida just tore his ACL. He's gone. It looked like an ACL tear. I'm like, crap. Breida is gone, ACL tear. Man, it's going to be all Alfred Morris. I'm like, whoa, man, this sucks. And then Breida comes back. I'm happy. I'm like, yay, Breida's back. I don't have to drop him. And sure enough, Jimmy G says, hold my beer. And runs to go out of bounds, and just, you saw the replays, it does not look good. It did not look good. And he's out for the year. He tore his ACL. CJ Beathard, whatever his name is, not a good quarterback. They've been trying out Kellen Clemens today, along with a couple of other ones that you may know from times where they were not good in the NFL.
Yeah, if you don't have a job in the NFL right now, there's a reason why. So if you're looking out there, you're getting the scraps.
Yeah, so Colin Kaepernick, Alex asked, do you think the Niners should bring back Cap? No, they're not going to bring back Cap. Sorry, I hate to tell you. It's not going to happen. They're going to probably go with Beathard, whatever his name is. And probably at this point, what are they, 1-2?
1-2.
1-2. I think they're the number 1 contender. I guess they get Jimmy back. I'm going to say who they can get in the draft, but I think they just kind of take the year out, get some of the younger players some more experience. And good luck next year, 49ers fans.
No, yeah, it's pretty rough. Obviously I'm a Raider fan, so I'm not too fond of the 49ers across the bay, but you signed Jerry McKinnon to a big deal. He's out before the season starts. You signed Jimmy G to a long-term deal. He's out after 3 games. And then Richard Sherman, who you signed to a 3-year deal, is now out for the next couple weeks. So horrible bad luck. You don't ever wish injuries on anybody, but man, right now, if I'm Shanahan, I don't want to step on that field. I might get hurt, so I'm just staying away.
Yeah, I agree with you there. It's going to be a long year. One quick note about Kareem Hunt, too. He's become touchdown dependent. He barely has any rushing yards this year. In that game where they destroyed the 49ers, no receptions. 2 touchdowns, though, and 1 touchdown last week that saved his fantasy day. Kareem Hunt has become touchdown dependent in that offense with Pat Mahomes. That's not a first-round pick, in my opinion. He's third.
Oh, yeah. It's almost like, I don't want to say it's a bad thing, but it's almost Jordan Howard-esque, you know?
Well, Jordan Howard gets the rushing yards, though. He was 4th in rushing last year.
Well, he was, but he also had like 400 carries, you know?
And he'll get that again this year, too.
He had another Jordan Howard game this week. But, yeah, you know, someone like Kareem Hunt, it's disheartening for owners. Luckily, he's still healthy. So, but, yeah, it's kind of tough. What surprised me is Sammy Watkins, man. This guy was left for the dead. He comes over to Kansas City. Last 2 weeks, he has 11 receptions, 155 yards. He got a touchdown last weekend. He's probably in some people's lineups right now.
Yeah, he has to be. But here's what you're going to get with this Kansas City offense. You got a defense that's terrible, so they're always going to be trying to go downfield to put up points. But you also have Andy Reid making the play calls, which is tough because Andy Reid has his quarterback in Pat Mahomes. He's going to mix it around and throw to everybody. And, you know, even Conley is relevant. You know, another touchdown pass for him or reception for him this week. But Kareem Hunt in round 1, I told you not to do it. I told everyone not to do it, and I was right. He's touchdown dependent now. So if he gets his 40 yards from scrimmage next week and no touchdowns, it's 4 points.
Hey, you're good at math.
I am. All right, we'll move on from that game to speaking of 4 points, the Tennessee Titans beat the Jacksonville Jaguars in this wonderful baseball game. There was 2 home runs from Marcus Mariota and another home run from Josh Lambo. Final score of 9-6. Typical Blake Bortles fashion, he comes out and beats the Jacksonville Jaguars, throwing the ball all over the place. Keelan Cole's making catches that Odell Beckham wouldn't even marvel at. And here we come. At home to Tennessee Titans without Marcus Mariota, who came in later because of that hit to Blaine Gabbert. And they put up a stinker. And, Mariota made 2 huge drives in the second half. Long, methodical drives. 4 yards here, 4 yards there, because he can't throw the ball very far with his, elbow the way it is. 4 yards here, 4 yards here, and just sucked the life out of that stadium, out of the team, and pulled off the victory 9-6, putting Tennessee first place in the division. And Jacksonville kind of going, Blake Bortles 155, not good enough against the Tennessee Titans defense at home. Derrick Henry, welcome back to life a little bit, 57 yards for him. No pay dirt, though. And then, TJ Yeldon actually led the Jacksonville Jaguars in receiving. And that's not good as well. So anything to say on that game? I mean, are you still worried about Mariota? What's going on?
It's just, I think as a whole for Jacksonville, that's a big letdown. You finally got that monkey off your back. You beat New England, which probably isn't saying much right now after this week's performance. But still, you get that revenge game from the AFC Championship game. You're playing at home. You got the stadium pumping. And then for you to, for like Blake Bortles to go out and throw up a stinker like this and lose in the fourth quarter the way they did, that's not a good sign. That's not good for them.
Nope. But they do get Fournette hopefully back next week, and should change things there a little bit. Moving on to the Giants versus the Texans. Now, listen, I've been a big component. Well, not component, but I just said don't draft Barkley in the first round. Okay, the guy's obviously talented. That touchdown run he had was absolutely incredible. But the offensive line is so terrible in New York, he's not going to put the same type of numbers that Elliott put his rookie year with that offensive line, with Hunt put last year with that offensive line, and when they had Alex Smith at quarterback who can't throw the ball. It's a different component when you look at the New York Giants offensive line. They're not good. So, yeah, he's going to go 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, and then his skill is going to make him go 15, and then 2, 2, 2, and then 15. So, yes, he looks good, but not first-round talent. But overall, great win for the Giants over the Texans, who are 0-3 and not looking good. Good luck with you, Deshaun Watson. And Will Fuller stole the touchdown from Nook in this one. Beckham over 109 receiving yards. Barkley 82. Watson 300 in a losing effort. And old man Eli just somehow, some way, ends up throwing for 297 and 2 touchdowns, which if you started him over Aaron Rodgers, he got more points. Just saying. And so there you go. Not much there going on in the game except for the Texans don't look very good. And Lamar Miller, after being in the top 4 in rushing, get this, 10 attempts, 10 yards. Any takeaways from that game there in Houston?
Oh, man. My biggest takeaway with all this crazy stuff going on, Evan Ingram looks like he's going to be out for a little bit.
Yeah, huge injury.
So if I'm looking for a
Sterling
receiver who
Shepard.
might be available,
Sterling Shepard.
Exactly.
That's
yeah,
the
he's
boy.
Gonna take those targets.
If he's
he
available,
looks good,
pick him up.
6 catches, 80 yards, touchdown. So, yeah, if you see him on your waiver wire, I'm going to
Get him.
a cheap one.
Get him.
Snatch him up.
Get him. Okay, moving on to the the Packers and the Redskins. I'm not going to sit here and talk about this new quarterback rule, about hitting the quarterback. They called it like 3 times tonight. They called one back. Then they're saying it's weight on the quarterback, and then this guy comes in from the side and sacks Fitzpatrick, but because it was from the side, even though his body weight still went on him, it didn't count as the same penalty. The NFL doesn't know what they're doing. I talked about this on Saturday. The more and more you change rules, the more and more people are uninterested. Soccer's never changed rules. Baseball barely changes rules. When they do change rules, they realize they're idiots and they change it back 2 weeks into the season, like they did with that bobble catch thing a couple years ago. Stop changing the rules. Those are sacks. That Clay Matthews hit was a legal hit, a legal tackle that you teach kids in Pop Warner how to tackle. Just because it's the quarterback and not a receiver doesn't mean it needs to be called a personal foul. It's garbage. Absolute garbage. If it was the same hit on a running back, you wouldn't call it. The same hit on a receiver, you wouldn't call it. On a punt returner, on a kicker. But because it's a quarterback, it's a personal foul. It's a legal hit. You teach 5-year-olds in Pop Warner, people. Stop it with these rule changes. Clay Matthews, I have your back. That was a legal hit. And that one tonight was a legal hit. What else can you do? They're coming full speed. They're athletes. They train to run fast and hit fast. They're getting their heads away from the helmet. They're hitting with their shoulder pads. But because they're burying a quarterback into the ground, so it's an illegal hit. But any other player, they wouldn't call it. And I want someone to show me a video of them calling that same tackle that Clay Matthews did on Alex Smith, on a receiver, or anyone else, and showing a flag on that. Now, there's my rant for the night, apparently.
Hey, breathe, man.
Sorry, but that was
breathe.
That was a legal hit, in my opinion.
Oh, no, without a doubt. And it's, the worst part about it is when they have these hits and they call a foul and they do the replay in slow motion, they look like technique, sound, solid tackles.
Like you would teach a kid at Pop Warner.
No, you're right. Like I have not seen one where they're leading with what they call the crown of the helmet or doing anything malicious. I think that's what this rule is for anything malicious, and I have not seen anything malicious whatsoever. It is the NFL has a problem. Obviously, there's nothing they can do this year because the rules in place, and they're going to do what they're going to do. But there has to be someone over there in New York with those referee commission. They got to figure something out. This is not good at all.
Yeah. So, anyways, yeah, that's terrible. I think everyone agrees too. I mean, come on. But moving on, Aaron Rodgers does not look comfortable moving around at all. He's become a pocket passer since his injury, and it's going to linger all year too. So let's hope that the Packers can stay relevant with this injury. Jamal Williams is droppable. Aaron Jones comes in and gets 6 carries for 42. Jamal Williams 5 for 29. And Ty Montgomery at 4 for 16. So it's a truly, for the first time in his career, McCarthy as a running back by committee. No need to have any of them, in my opinion, because they're going to be behind and throwing the ball a lot. Alex Smith was Alex Smith, but the big story, I think, besides Chris Thompson doing nothing, was Adrian Peterson. He's 25 again, 19 carries, 122 touchdowns. He looks good, guys, and he's not going anywhere on this team. In an Alex Smith quarterback team with him and Chris Thompson, that's going to be the combo, and little check downs to Jamison Crowder and Jordan Reed. And then when you run, Alex Smith is finally going to hit a deep ball to Paul Richardson. That's going to be the Washington Redskins' success if they have any the rest of the way. That's going to be their game plan. So Packers don't look good. Well, then neither did Minnesota. And I guess the Bears are the crop of the division. More on that later. So moving on to the Cincinnati Bengals and Carolina Panthers. This was actually a pretty good game, going back and forth for a while before Cam Newton kind of put it away towards the end. Dalton's still playing really good. He needs to be not drafted, but owned in everyone's league as at least a backup quarterback at this point. If he's on your waiver wire and you have Andrew Luck, Dalton's probably going to be better than Andrew Luck the best of the way. More on the Andrew Luck thing later. Cam Newton, he is who we thought he is. He definitely knows how to vulture touchdowns, even on a big day from McCaffrey. Career high in carries, career high in yards. McCaffrey, 28 carries for 184 yards on the ground and only 2 receptions. What is going on? What is this? What is this? But, you know, that's what they do there in Carolina. Cam Newton, 152 touchdowns, but of course he had the 2 touchdowns running, both which he put the ball in McCaffrey's arms and pulled it away and ran it himself. Any thoughts on this game besides I know you're really high on the Tyler Boyd situation, especially with A.J. Green kind of going down with an injury in this one?
Yeah, I'll save Tyler Boyd for later. But, yeah, kind of like you said, all the reports preseason was Christian McCaffrey was going to be the bell cow, and I still was hesitant. I still drafted C.J. Anderson in a few leagues just because I felt like there's no way Christian's going to be able to carry the ball that much. But this game was evident. 28 carries, like that is unreal.
It's crazy.
Like he probably led the league in carries this week.
He did. Yep. He did.
It's if you got him in the second round of your leagues, you are in a go man. And
especially if you're a Gurley owner like me, you got Gurley and McCaffrey as your 1-2. Love it.
No need to show off. But no, and the thing is Christian McCaffrey, I think from what I heard, he hasn't even scored a touchdown this year yet.
No.
And he's still, I think, number 2, number 3 running back with no touchdowns. Wait till those touchdowns start coming up. Man, this guy is going to tear it up the rest of the year. Yep.
I can see it too. I was high on him. A lot of people were like, whoa. No, he's going to be the guy. C.J. Anderson, who? Come on. C.J. Anderson, really? No. He's already been phased out a little bit there as we go forward. The Baltimore-Denver game. Another great game until Baltimore kind of put it away in the second half. But for a while in the first half, it was very exciting. Case Keenum's Case Keenum. And he did not look good in this game at all. 22-34, 192, and an interception, no touchdowns. 67 rating. Now, the Baltimore defense always plays way better at home. And, they were putting pressure on him. So much that they said, okay, we got to give the ball to Emmanuel Sanders. What do? Let's hand the ball off. And that's what he did. He had a 35-yard rush touchdown, which helped a lot of people in fantasy. Philip Lindsay decided he wanted to punch somebody and got ejected from the game, giving Royce Freeman the reign. And he went, what did he do? He went 13 for 53 in that touchdown. Now, Royce Freeman is always going to be the goal line back the rest of the year, no matter what. He's going to be the guy who gets the ball within the 5. He's the more physical back than Lindsay. He's going to get those touchdowns. But this kind of helped him out a little bit, maybe getting more carries, realizing that Lindsay can be kind of a head case because that was kind of ridiculous. But 13 for 53, a touchdown, good for Royce. Another Demaryius Thomas letdown, really. Still 5 for 63, but not good at all. Joe Flacco, 277 and a touchdown. Buck Allen still remains fantasy relevant as we go forward, but Alex Collins, good to see him get in the end zone, also with 18 carries. What did you make from this game?
Just, I talked about it a little last week, but John Brown is quietly becoming the number one receiver for Baltimore. He leads the team in receiving yards. Crabtree still led the league or the team with 10 targets, but John Brown is – we all know Flacco can't throw it short, so he is definitely playing to John Brown's strengths. Crabtree still had a decent game, but, if John Brown's available somehow, I don't think he is. He probably got picked up a lot last week. Pick him up. He's probably going to keep doing this all year, and he hasn't started scoring any touchdowns yet, so wait till those big ones come up, so pick him up.
Yes, sir. The game of the week, New Orleans and Atlanta. John DeLeon says, hello, go Dodgers. I say hello, and currently right now, let's do a quick fact check. The Dodgers are up 4-3 over the Diamondbacks in the bottom of the 8th, and the Rockies have already won. So come on, Diamondbacks.
Are you sweating bullets?
Dude, I've already been looking at clown outfits on Amazon. Like it's bad. The game of the week, New Orleans and Atlanta. What a game this was, too. My goodness. The Calvin Ridley coming out party. I played him in DFS and got a little extra income this week from it. I think I don't want to say he's going to do – well, obviously he's not going to do this every week, but Julio Jones did not look like he was fully healthy in this game at all. And I think that's why Calvin Ridley was able to have the game he is. I don't expect this every week. He's not going to go 740, 146, and 3 every week. But, he can get in that 3 to 4 reception range every week. But Julio Jones is going to eat those targets up when we go forward. Yes, he's worth rostering, but let's not go crazy. Let's not go Pat Mahomes crazy over him. Tevin Coleman still decides he doesn't want to be the starter and wants to give it back to Devontae Freeman. Matt Ryan still shows why you don't draft a quarterback in the first round. And Drew Brees is now a rushing quarterback.
You got to give him, man. He shook 2 guys for that winner. Looked like Michael Vick out there.
Yeah. I think the biggest stat I catch from this, too, is targets on this team. Alvin Kamara had 20 targets and 16 attempts at rushing. Talking about usage. Jesus. 15 for 124 through the air and 16 for 66 on the ground. And Michael Thomas just did Michael Thomas things, 10 for 129. So, great game. It always is when those two teams get together. What'd you take away from that?
Oh, man, I think kind of like we said with Kamara, right now through 3 weeks he has 30 receptions. So if you plan that out through the season, you're talking about
it's ridiculous.
A lot of receptions. Yeah, it's unreal.
Number 1 overall pick in fantasy next year in PPRs. Gurley's doing great though. Gurley is doing great, but still, you can't.
No, he is. But right now, when you're talking about PPR, someone like Alvin Kamara, and I remember in our Money Rants league, I was so excited that David Johnson fell to be number 5, and then right behind me, some loser guy.
Your boy. All right, so moving on to the Indianapolis-Philadelphia game, the return of Wentz. Wentz looked pretty good. Still a little uncomfortable to me a little bit, but looked pretty solid. A lot better than Nick Foles' look, that's for sure. And Andrew Luck cannot throw the ball far. He's only averaging 7 yards per completion this year, which would be a career low. And when it came to a Hail Mary at the end of the game, they brought in Jacoby Brissett because he couldn't get the ball all the way to the end zone. So Andrew Luck, I'm a little off of him the rest of the year. That's great for T.Y. Hilton's game because he's going to get his targets. But man, that did not look good when they couldn't even bring him in to throw a ball that far, and his average per pass is so low this year. Carson Wentz looked good. Corey Clement did not get the start. Wendell Smallwood did, but Corey Clement ended up out touching him. I expect Jay Ajayi back next week. And neither one of them really, Clement or Wendell Smallwood, was exceptional. When Wendell Smallwood got the touchdown, which irritated me to death. And Josh Adams, the rookie stud that they feel is going to be the future, went 6 for 30. Zach Ertz, another solid game, 573. But, of course, Dallas Goedert just had to go in and say, hey, Zach Ertz, I'm going to go 7 for 73 with a touchdown. What did you take from this game? Besides Jordan Matthews returned to Philadelphia, went 2 for 21. Do not pick him up.
This game kind of just showed me that they are lacking that big receiver. So whenever Alshon Jeffrey's ready to come back, expect a lot of targets going his way for sure.
Definitely. Well, a lot of deep targets because they don't have a receiver that can go far. That's the God honest truth. The Dolphins and the Raiders. I know Anthony was texting me. He got up early, ready to watch his Raiders. He thought this was going to be the day, the first win of the year. They're like, Jordy Nelson looks great. He just got 2 long bombs. He has a touchdown. Oh, crap, I didn't start him in any of my leagues. And then, boom, a bunch of trickery plays and some guy named Jakeem Grant and his friend Albert Wilson.
That's the ultimate disrespect right there.
Go ahead. Actually, Jakeem Grant actually leads the league in punt return yards, just so you know. But go ahead and do that to them. And Derek Carr did not look bad except the 2 interceptions. He still threw 345. Marshawn Lynch went 19 for 64 and a touchdown. Has to do better average there if they want to go anywhere going forward. And Jordy Nelson coming out party, 173 and a touchdown. Most of that in the first half, of course. And Jared Cook shows he's still one of the most valuable tight ends in fantasy because tight ends suck. Oh, and Kenyon Drake decided that he did not want to play. That's what I got there. What do you got there?
Oh, man. You know what? 2 things. One thing, the Raiders cannot play in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
I am beyond shocked of how bad they play in the fourth quarter. But we don't have enough time, so I'll cry later. But my real thing is kind of like what you mentioned. Jared Cook, 5 receptions, 31 yards. This new Greg Olsen offense with John Gruden, a lot of it's quick screens, quick outs, and there's a lot of passes going to Jared Cook in the middle. So if you drafted him late or if he's still somehow lurking on the free agent wire, there's been a lot of injuries with tight ends this week. Go and snatch him up. The guy is going to be consistent. He won't win you maybe a week, but if you can get 5 receptions for 30, 40 yards from your tight end every week, you're going to take that. That's solid production.
Yeah,
so
totally.
Definitely get that.
All right. The Chargers and the Rams, the battle for L.A. Now, this is a weird game. The Chargers' offense was not that bad. They're actually pretty decent. I think a lot of other teams on the same given day they would have beaten, to be honest. Mike Williams had himself a day, 481 and 2. Austin Eckler did his thing. Melvin Gordon got 80 and a touchdown. Little not in the passing game as I thought he would be. And even Phillip Rivers had a really good game, 226 and 2 touchdowns, but they couldn't stay on the field. And the Keenan Allen fumble really killed him when they had a chance to go within 3. It kind of changed everything from there. And listen, the Rams are the best team in the NFL after three weeks. The Chiefs, I don't even think the Chiefs, their defense, the Rams will just go right down the field multiple times. And, losing their, I think Talib went out with an injury and Marcus Peters. Huge. Marcus Peters, I think, is going to be out for a few weeks, which is, can open up some of that secondary. But, man, the Rams just look like the best team in the NFL and by miles. How do you feel?
Oh, pretty much. They are. I think week 1, Todd Gurley, after that Monday night victory over the Raiders, said it perfectly. They are talented at every position, and when they're rocking, they're practically impossible to beat. You have to play near football perfect to beat them, and this is a game that's the perfect example of it. Like you said, the Chargers didn't play that bad. They moved the ball.
Yeah.
They were able to rush it. They were, Mike Williams looked good out there. So they played a good game. But when you have, turnovers, when you get 3 and outs, and you give this Rams offense and this defense
go right down
stability,
the field.
Oh, yeah. Like, right now, what other team has 3 receivers that are being fantasy productive right now? Like, you got Robert Woods, who caught 2 touchdowns and 10 catches. Brandon Cooks had another solid game.
1
7
punt.
receptions.
1 punt for the Rams.
It sounds even – yeah.
And the Chargers only had 2 punts.
No, that's what I'm saying. This is an example. You have to play flawless football to beat them.
And this gets even crazier. The whole game I'm watching Robert Woods, I'm going, man, Brandon Cooks sucks. He's like no points. Robert Woods at 2-104-2. Brandon Cooks had 7 receptions for 90 yards, and Cooper Kupp had 471 and a touchdown, and Todd Gurley still at 105 yards and a touchdown, 5 receptions and 51 yards. All of those guys, you have to start all those guys every week. Every week. You play Cooper Kupp as a flex or wide receiver 3. Robert Woods and Brandon Cooks are both wide receiver 2s the rest of the way going forward. Well, that's crazy how good that offense is. And,
if I have the number 1 pick next year, I'm drafting Gurley, Woods, Cooks, Kupp, Goff.
You'd probably be in first place right now, to be honest.
No, exactly, man.
All right, here we go. The Bears and the Cardinals. The Josh Rosen coming out party. Nothing really here except the Bears defense is good. It was kind of off to a really bad start, but you know what? It was a turnover that really put the Cardinals in those 2 positions to score those touchdowns in the beginning of the game, and Bradford, did everything he can to lose that game after that. Got benched for Rosen. Rosen comes on, went 4 for 7, 36, and an interception. That was a terrible interception, by the way. David Johnson did get a touchdown, and, kind of savored what was a bad day, 12-31, 4 for 30. And trying to see what Larry Fitzgerald went 2 for 9. Ooh, gross. But Howard 24 for 61 and a touchdown. Got some receptions too, which is great. Trey Burton still consistent with 4 for 55. And Anthony Miller, their stud receiver, left with looked like a pretty bad injury, so I think he'll miss a few weeks. And a great comeback win for Mitch Trubisky, but still Mitch Trubisky does not look good. He had a fumble for a loss and an interception and a win. Another second straight week where he looks terrible and still gets a win. So what do you take from this game other than the Josh Rosen era has begun?
You know what? I'm going to say, because I'm a salty Raider fan, Khalil Mack for the 3rd straight game has a sack and strip fumble, and leading that defense. They look, outside of the Jaguars defense, that Bears defense is probably the next one up. They are that good.
Yeah, that rookie looks good at Roquan Smith next to Khalil Mack in that middle, man. That's scary.
Yeah, but I think the biggest takeaway from this game is especially, with if Josh Rosen, I think, is going to probably be named the starter next week
against Seattle.
Is going to be their rookie receiver over there in Arizona.
We'll talk more on him
later.
More on him later. Moving on to the another stinker, the Cowboys and the Seahawks. I'm sorry, the Dallas Zeeks and the Seattle Seahawks. Listen, Cowboys don't have anyone but Ezekiel Elliott on that team. Dak Prescott is not relevant. Drop him. Don't play him. Tavon Austin is your next best fantasy player stat-wise after Ezekiel Elliott on this team. Tavon Austin. Whew. It's going to be a long year, I think, in Dallas as we go forward, especially the offensive line with the injuries. Terrible. Russell Wilson did his Russell Wilson thing, only went 192-2. Didn't have to, because you could just hand the ball off to Chris Carson. 32 attempts for Chris Carson, so he led the week in carries. 102 and a touchdown. Now listen, people. Don't go being like, oh, Chris Carson, I got to get him. Blah, blah, blah. This was strictly a game flow type of deal here. This was a game flow deal. Chris Carson next week in Arizona, that could end up being a shootout between Rosen and everybody and them, and he may only get 10 carries because Russell Wilson's going to throw the ball 40 times again. Russell Wilson didn't have to throw the ball. This game was actually closer than it really was. This game was over by like the halfway through the second quarter. It was 17-3. And the Dallas Cowboys weren't doing a thing. Nothing. It was terrible. This was actually an awful game, a really sloppy game to watch as well. Anything you take away from this game, except I don't think the Cowboys will be making the playoffs?
Oh, that's a shocker.
Yeah.
No, my biggest takeaway, Tyler Lockett has his 3rd straight game with a touchdown, 4 receptions, 77 yards. He's right now on pace for over 1,000 this year. Sneaky pick, if he's somehow available in your waiver wire, pick him up. Baldwin looks like he's going to be down for a little while longer. Led the team in targets, so he could be a sneaky play.
Get Lockett
with bye weeks coming up.
Lockett should be owned everywhere if he's not by now. Oh, and very disappointing in Disley, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Vernet got more targets than he did, so I guess the Disley era may be over, but we'll see. We'll see. Moving on to the Sunday night game. The Apprentice has beaten the Master. The Detroit Lions took down the New England Patriots in what was a very easy game to do so. In the battle of rookie running backs, Kerryon Johnson looked pretty decent. The first time a Detroit Lions running back has gone over 100 yards since Thanksgiving when Reggie Bush was their running back.
Wow.
Yes, that is a true fact. So Kerryon Johnson looks like the real deal. They started the game with LeGarrette Blount in the backfield, which I think was a big thumb or FU to Belichick maybe. But that didn't last very long, and Kerryon Johnson looked really good. And you know, if they could put up leads like they did early and just be able to hand the ball, and he can go 5-5-5, Kerryon Johnson's going to be good. And I just traded him for Sonny Michel. And by the way, people start calling him Sony randomly. Sony Michel. It's Sonny Michel, just so everyone knows. It was Sonny Michel his entire career in Georgia. If he changes his name to Sony, then he needs to get money from them. That's all I'm going to say. But yeah, but Sonny Michel was the guy. He got all the carries before Burkhead went out with an injury. But Sonny Michel had 14 for 50, which is solid for what he's trying to do because they weren't blocking for him at all or anybody. Brady barely had time to throw the ball. 133 for Brady. That has to be his lowest. Man, that has to be his lowest passing yards in a long time. 133, 1 touchdown, sacked twice, 1 interception, hurried a lot. A QB rating of 65 for Brady. The defense master beat his apprentice beat the master. Now, maybe it's because he does know a lot about the Patriots, being their defensive coordinator for the last couple of years. And maybe he knew some handset signals or knew something. But I'm interested to see where they go from here because that division is kind of wide open now with the tie. And now both teams losing in Minnesota and Green Bay. Detroit's still in this with this win at 1-2. So that whole division just kind of went lopsided. And if Detroit plays like they did last night going forward, and by the way, Galladay is the real deal. But going forward, they could be a force to be reckoned with and at least get a wild card. What did you take from the game last night?
You know, I think the lack of wide receiver weapons for New England has finally caught up to them. For years, they've been just scraping leftovers and guys nobody wants. And I think finally now Brady isn't able to make, lobster with hot dogs like he usually has.
Yeah. Where's Chris Hogan?
So
where is Chris Hogan? If Gronk's really getting double and triple teams from safeties and linebackers, plus a corner, why is Chris Hogan just not open all the time?
Because he's Chris Hogan.
I guess so. Jesus. Well, anyways, that game last night was not very fun to watch either. It was fun not to watch if you're not a Patriots fan, I guess. But, yeah, 2 losses in a row for the Belichick-Brady. And you know what? I know they got a slow start last year, but that defense, missing Patrick Chung in the middle as that safety and missing some key players there in the defensive back area, they do not look good. And they barely beat Houston week 1, who's 0-3. And they didn't, after the first quarter, the rest of the game, they didn't really look that good either. So maybe the dynasty could be coming to a close here sooner than we think. Is the dynasty coming to a close this year? Is this the last year, Belichick of Brady? I think so. Anthony?
I think the fact that we're talking about it means they're going to win 10 in a row now.
Probably. Most likely. Knowing my luck,
that's what I think.
He'll go all Pat Mahomes on me.
Oh, man. But you know what? It's just we've never seen the Patriots struggle this bad, even though it's only 2 games. And even that first game, like you said, they struggled in that second half against the Texans. You don't see New England do this. They're the ones that take advantage of their team's mistakes and they win games that, handily. So to see them get taken to school on a primetime game like this against Detroit, it's definitely concerning for those Patriots fans.
It is. And let's see, who do they get next week? Miami, right?
Oh, the division leader.
Yes. More on that right now, actually, because that's the end of our Week 3 wrap-up. We talked about the Monday night game. We talked about Fitzmagic losing it a little bit, but then bringing it back, but not quite enough left in the genie tank to win the game. We talked about the big upset of the week, Minnesota over Buffalo. And we talked about how we know nothing about the NFL. Each week it surprises us with more and more things. We do know that the Rams are really good. Other than that, we know nothing. That's pretty much what it comes down to. But Anthony, I'm really excited. You know why?
I want to hear it.
Because it's time for...
If someone marries me,
interesting defense
there's
pick.
hope
like
for them.
There's hope for their poll. Yeah. That's right. DMX agrees. All right. What was the poll this week?
So kind of going with our theme tonight, there's been a lot of surprises this weekend in the NFL. So after the games last night, I figured, you know what? Let me take a look at these NFL standings. And as I looked at them, there's some big surprises on top of these divisions right now. And I wanted to know, asking the Twitter world, and we almost got 500 votes this week, so another good showing by Twitter. Who is your biggest surprise so far when it comes to division leader?
Okay, we could now take the Buccaneers out of the question. No, they're tied with the Saints now. So, but actually, Saints would have the advantage on them, tiebreaker. So Saints would be first, all alone. Who are the people that you put in your poll, Anthony?
Well, you know what? I could see the future, so I knew the Bucs were going to lose, so I left them off my list.
Okay,
so
right,
I do know that at least.
All right.
But my 4 teams that I had were the Chicago Bears.
Okay.
The Miami Dolphins.
Okay.
The Cincinnati Bengals. And the Tennessee Titans.
Okay, the Titans maybe, because they were the only team that you mentioned that I had as a playoff team. But I want to know. We'll go in order from 4 to 1. Who is this week's?
If someone marries me,
interesting defense
there's
pick.
hope
I like
for
it.
there.
All right. The least surprising, I'd say, is the Tennessee Titans of those ones. Am I right?
You're close, but coming in 4th, the Bengals.
Really?
Well, you figure, as far as talent-wise, offensively, they probably have the most talent.
That's true. I'll give you that. And their defense, if they stay healthy, pretty decent. Not terrible.
Exactly, yeah. So looking at it, A.J. Green, Andy Dalton, not too surprised there. So the Bengals came in 4th with 6% of the votes.
How many votes here are we talking?
We almost had 450 votes.
Oh, less than the Pat Mahomes. People love Pat Mahomes more than they love this question, huh?
Next week I'm going to get a question with Mahomes again. He's money.
Let's do it earlier. Let's do one on like Friday.
Yeah. Let's do that. We'll figure something good for everybody on Twitter, so make sure you guys look out for it.
Or we post it first thing, like right after the games on Sunday. Like the first wave of games.
Like, how many weeks is it going to take for Edward to believe in the Chiefs?
17.
Oh my God! You know what? And I believe that. That's probably going to be it every.
You know
week.
why? Because no matter how many games they win, if they make the playoffs, they're going to lose in the first round, like they always do.
Just like last year.
That's right. That's right. And the year before that, and the year before that, and the year before that. Every year that Andy Reid has been the coach of that team.
Preach, Edward.
That's
All right, man. So number 3 on the list.
Got to be the Titans.
11%. The Tennessee Titans.
Yes. Okay, Mariota's playing through that injury now. He's going to have to. They still look pretty decent, but man, the lack of touchdowns is very concerning there. I don't think they can hold on to this much longer. And you know Jacksonville's going to be playing with a little chip on their shoulder. But Houston at 0-3 and Indy at 1-2. I mean, that division's bad.
But you know, just like you said last year, we dogged the Titans right now, but last year they made the playoffs, and who beat those Chiefs in the first round?
Mariota and the Titans, baby. Remember the Titans.
Full circle, man. Full circle on Monday Night Rants.
That's right. Okay, so this is going to be the Dolphins then next, I think.
Runner up with only 15% of the votes.
Jesus. So whoever got first here is like 170% or something crazy.
Yeah, I'm going to have to put my mind together and think about a good question, because the last couple of weeks my polls have been just landslides. Like, it hasn't even been close. But number 2, the Chicago Bears. No love for the Bears, man. How
they're surprising at 2-1 because Trubisky has been terrible. And they're really close to being 3-0 if it wasn't for some Aaron Rodgers craziness towards the end of the game, week 1. Think about that. They're almost 3-0. And now both the Minnesota and Green Bay are 1-1, and the Detroit Tigers are 1-2. Wow. Anything can happen in the NFL.
Oh, yeah, and this is a perfect example. If you would have told me these 4 teams were leading the division after 3 weeks, I would have laughed at you and made a bet, and then I would have lost the bet.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I would have lost.
You'd be taking a spoonful of mayonnaise while wearing a clown outfit.
Oh, that sounds like a Friday night for Edward right there.
But you know what? No Tyreek Hill touchdowns this week.
You needed that.
Only 3 receptions. Big. I know. He was off to a blazing start, but we'll see what happens from there. So who is number 1 in the... Oh.
If someone marries me,
interesting defense
there's
pick.
hope
like
for there.
So this week's biggest surprise so far for the division leaders, the Miami Dolphins.
Oh, yes, the Ace Venturas. Nice. Yeah, they're a surprise. 3-0. Schedule's been a little weak if you look at who they played. Tennessee week 1 with Mariota went out in that game. That was crazy. Wasn't that the game that was 8 hours long?
Yeah, it was like the humongous delay, and then they came back, and yeah.
Yeah, and who did they beat last week?
Probably.
Before they played the Raiders this week?
Who did they beat last
week? Houston,
week?
Maybe? No. The Giants? It wasn't like a team that's like, oh, wow, the Miami Dolphins beat them. It wasn't like...
The New York Jets.
Yeah. So, let's hold our horses on most surprised team. Look who they've played.
But you know what? But we probably all had New England dominating that division.
Yeah, but still, I think the most surprising team of this bunch, I'm going to say so far, the way that they've looked, is the Chicago Bears. Because they're surprising because they're beating or almost beating, decent teams like the Packers. They were dominating the Packers before Rodgers got hurt in that game, and then beating the Seahawks like they did with that defense. I think they're more, to me, for the long run, can be better than the Dolphins will end up being, if that makes sense.
No, and I think, if this poll was who's the better team, I think I'll believe you. But
I think they're better than what we thought they were, as if, yeah, the Dolphins are playing better than what we thought they were, but the Dolphins are, to be honest, man, they haven't played much competition.
No, not at all. But
75% of the people can't lie. They were right on Patrick Mahomes. He is the MVP of the world. He just won the FIFA World Cup playoff champion just yesterday, and he doesn't even play soccer.
What's the award for the most goals in a Champions League?
The Golden Boot. He already won that. He won that after week 1. He just won the Pac-12 volleyball women's volleyball MVP somehow. I don't know. What? Pat Mahomes wins everything. He's the greatest player in sports history of all time in the world, ever in the universe.
That is the longest title for an award ever.
That's what it says on his business card.
the best champion quarterback MVP in the world of United States of America.
He's going to be the only quarterback to get inducted to the Hall of Fame 5 times. I'm calling it.
before his first year.
Before this year even ends, by week 16. He's going to have 8 movie deals before this year is even over.
Oh, he's going to be the new Space Jam movie with
Yeah,
LeBron James.
they've already canceled it, and now it's going to be Pat Mahomes. He's going to be playing basketball with the Monstars. That's already done.
Oh, my God.
And somehow throw 4 touchdown passes in the first quarter of a basketball game. I don't know how it's possible, but it's going to happen. And LeBron James is producing it, so it has to work, right?
He'll find a way.
Anything LeBron James is a part of has to work. I mean, Cleveland worked.
It's money.
Yeah.
LeBron James, Patrick Mahomes, you got the best tandem in the history of the world.
God damn. Patrick Mahomes continues to make me look like a terrible analyst. But hey, 1 out of 100 isn't that bad.
Not at all.
Yeah.
See, I'm the opposite. I'm usually 99 for 100 being wrong.
Okay. That's why I put you on this show. You're honest.
There it is. Yeah, but no, this was a great poll. I'm glad for everybody that came out and vote. But
yes,
definitely.
Yes, good job.
If someone marries me,
Interesting defensive
there's
pick. I
hope
like it.
for them.
Oh, yes, we were going to play some Believe It or Not, but I don't think we're going to do that this week because what are you going to believe it or not on? Do you believe it or not on the teams he just named?
Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, Jesus. If we just talked about Patrick Mahomes for an hour every week, shit, we'd probably get more viewers than we do now.
Hey, we need Patrick Mahomes right now.
I'm going to change the name of the show from Monday Night Rants to Monday Night Patrick Mahomes Praise. That's it. New show.
And Patrick, if you're listening because you're getting blown up on Twitter, get on our show. We need a guest.
Yeah, call in. Call the number. I'll do a number just for you so you can call in and talk about how awesome you are. I picture him being like the Ronaldo, where he's always like looking at himself in the mirror, checking how he's looking, always talking about himself in third person on all his dates.
He has some pretty cool hair. I think he has like some shaved side mohawk.
Yeah. Like when he's at a date and they're like, sir, what would you like? And he's like, Patrick Mahomes would like a number 13. Extra touchdown, please.
Ooh.
And then he just hands out his business card that says best champion player in the world of all time, 4-time Hall of Fame inductee. All right, man, let's talk about some waiver wire pickups, because if Patrick Mahomes is on your waiver wires by this point, you're in the wrong league. I got a couple, just a few though, because really, if you're looking at waiver wires after this week, it's kind of rough. Not too many people have separated themselves or done anything crazy, besides maybe Calvin Ridley, who would be the number 1 probably pickup you're going to see all week long if you haven't picked him up already. We talked about it on the show last week that you should pick up Calvin Ridley. So if you didn't do it, I did. I saw Anthony picked him up in a few leagues. I know Josh did as well. We all picked him up. And guess what? We all probably didn't play him, because I didn't start him in the 2 leagues that I picked him up. But he's on my bench, so hey, at least I don't have to fight waivers to get him. But yeah, Calvin Ridley is probably going to end up being the overall number 1 pickup of the week. Hands down. Not even close. A lot of people dropped Chris Carson. I'm sure a lot of people will be picking up Chris Carson, of course, again. We're trying to get him. Like I said, it's a game flow thing. Don't believe in it. Penny's going to get his touches. And Peyton Barber continues to be terrible, so he can stay on there. So name like 2 of your pickups for the week that you have besides the obvious ones that I just mentioned.
So 2 of my guys, just because like you said, the running backs right now, there's probably not much out there right now. You're going to be, if you're looking for running backs right now, your team is in really bad position.
Yeah.
For sure. So my biggest pickup, everybody's going to be spending all their fab money on Ridley, but I really like Tyler Boyd right now.
Me too.
Cincinnati.
Me too. I was ahead of the curve on that one too. I picked him up in a couple of leagues because of you. Actually, you mentioned him to me last week, so thank you for that.
You know, and you know what? Like I said, that's my one right.
You're 1 out of the 100. There you go.
That is all I
got
have.
99 problems, but Tyler Boyd ain't one. That's the way that
I'm
goes.
gonna patent that. I'm gonna patent that.
You should.
But no, you know what? Even with if AJ Green is healthy, Andy Dalton has a nice connection with Boyd. He had 9 targets last week, 7 this past weekend. So he's part of that offense. The whole John Ross hype train pretty much is done. Boyd looks like he is the middle receiver going across on the post, just getting a lot of yards and targets. So if you don't want to spend all your fab money on Ridley, get someone like Tyler Boyd. Andy Dalton looks like he's going to have a pretty good season, so Boyd should probably fill in nicely for these bye weeks coming up.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Pick him up right away. Put him on. If you're like a 5 to 6 waiver wire and you got Ridley and Boyd, you're not getting Ridley. Don't waste your waiver on him. Put in for the Boyd. Get him at 5 because 1 through 4 will get him. Or cheaper money on Boyd and Fab, like you said, probably be more consistent than Ridley the rest of the year. Ridley's going to have his explosive games, but he's also going to have his 2 for 7 games. I think Boyd has already shown through 3 he could be more consistent. And especially with the A.J. Green injury, we don't know what's going on there. I think he's the guy to own for save your fab budget, save your waiver, and get Boyd as a great person to play as a flex. Or bye week start next week, guys. I know I'm going to miss McCaffrey a lot, but when he comes back, I'll have him for the rest of the year, which would be great. But Boyd is a great guy to have there for your waiver or your bye week as well. One guy I have is Christian Kirk. Speaking of receivers, he was targeted. He had a really good game this last week, quietly in that game against Chicago. But Kirk was really targeted the most, I think, out of any player on that team. And keep in mind, he would 7 receptions for 90 yards for Kirk, 8 targets. And like I said, Fitzgerald only had 2 receptions in the game. And Rosen's going to be the starter now. Rosen's a gunslinger, and he practiced with Kirk. Preseason, he had a good repertoire with Kirk. Kirk's his guy. Fitzgerald's still going to get his too, but I think Kirk steps up into, bench stash just to have on your team to play during the bye weeks that are coming up, and maybe even a flex if you need it. But I think the rest of the way, he's going to be pretty solid and could be a valuable asset, and he's only 3% owned. 3% owned in Yahoo leagues, and that is way too low for a guy who had a solid game after of the rookie receivers. Ridley stole the headlines, but Kirk still had solid production, especially in a PPR league. He's going to be very, very valuable the rest of the year. So Christian Kirk, how do you feel about that?
No, I like that. Like you said, Josh Rosen's probably going to be the starter this coming week, and when he's working with the twos, he was working with Christian Kirk, so you can tell that connection's there. Even if he's not going to get 7 receptions, if he can give you 4, 5, 6 a week with those targets when it comes to bye weeks, that's going to be solid for you. So I love that pickup right now, especially before he has that monster game and his price goes up. You want to try to
get him now, like we talked about last week with Ridley. We got Ridley already. I have Boyd already. Get Kirk now this week before it happens. You could drop DJ Moore, get Kirk. A lot of people that you were high on when you drafted, you can now just cut bait. Get rid of those guys. Kelvin Benjamin, get rid of him. Pick up Kirk. Get these guys off your team and get the guys that will produce going forward. Real quick, do you believe in any of these Miami receivers, Wilson or Grant, at all?
Man, you know what? It's so hit and miss. Grant had 2 touchdowns, 2 receptions for 70 yards, but are you really going to bank on that? Albert Wilson had that long touchdown catch. For my money, I'm going to go consistency. Kenny Stills should be the more consistent
He's the number
force.
1. And Devontae Parker actually came back from injury this week and proved again why he's terrible at football. So Devontae Parker, if you have him, drop him, please. Because all 3 of those guys we just named are going to be more productive the rest of the season. Yeah, but Kenny Stills is definitely the guy to own there. Okay, who's your second waiver wire pickup of the week?
So this coming up with bye weeks coming up, and especially if you had Evan Ingram or maybe some of the tight ends that got hurt, Ben Watson for the New Orleans Saints.
I like it.
Right now, the first 2 weeks, Saints weren't throwing the ball too much outside of Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara. They're the ones getting all the targets and receptions, but Benjamin Watson showed up, had 5 receptions, 71 yards. He had a phenomenal year with Drew Brees in 2016. He was hurt in 17. He played with the Ravens last year. He came back this year. Looks like that connection's there. You're talking about 12.1 points in PPR this week. Is he going to get that every week? probably not, but he's going to start sneaking in some touchdowns. So I like him stepping up as far as, filling in for your tight end, or possibly if you have one of these injuries to start for a couple weeks.
Yeah, if you had Disley, I think you could drop Disley now for Ben Watson. He's been a little bit, I think here you go. Also, tight end sleeper, I think they kind of slow rolled in Cincinnati Tyler Eifert a little bit into the season because he's always gotten hurt so quick. But if you watch his productivity all 3 games, it's been higher, higher, and higher. And I think it's come to a point where now he'll be a consistent force on that team. So Tyler Eifert, if he was dropped and you need that tight end help, under the radar type of guy who will get touchdowns, and he had a couple of huge third down conversions yesterday for the Bengals too. I think they're kind of slow easing him in. And I think they're doing that on purpose because they don't want him to get hurt so quick. So he could be very valuable to you as well. I'm going quarterback here. This quarterback has more fantasy points than Aaron Rodgers, more fantasy points than Matthew Stafford, more fantasy points than Deshaun Watson, more fantasy points than Russell Wilson, more fantasy points than Tom Brady. You know who that is?
I have no idea.
Ryan Tannehill.
Oh,
looking like his old 2016 self, but hear me out on this. Now he's been really consistent. 19, 15, and then his 34 game he just put up. 230, 200, 289, 2 and 3 on the touchdowns. And he goes up against that New England defense who's been just giving up points to quarterbacks like crazy. This week, if you need somebody, if you have Cam Newton, if you have someone who has a bye this week and you need to plug and play somebody, I think Tannehill's your guy. He has more points than all those quarterbacks I mentioned. Roethlisberger is on that list as well, but with his performance tonight, he had just edged him out. So he would be... Oh, he also has more points than Kirk Cousins. So There you go. Well, I mean, Kirk Cousins' week didn't help that at all. And he's 8% owned. Tannehill. That's why you don't draft a quarterback in the first rounds, people. You don't do it. You don't. All you Watson people who picked up Watson in the 4th. How you doing? Hey, Brady owners. How's it feel? Aaron Rodgers looks great, doesn't he? Man, Russell Wilson's really killing it. No, Ryan Tannehill, Andy Dalton, and
Matt Ryan
are destroying your teams. So there you go. I like Tannehill this week if you need a plug and play, if you have like a Cam Newton or someone with a bye, or even just to put on your bench and just wait till, when your receiver has a bye. Tannehill has a pretty he has New England this weekend, which is a good matchup. Then it kind of gets rough. He's at Cincinnati, then Chicago, but then he has Detroit, Houston, who can't stop anyone, the Jets, then Green Bay, who can't stop Alex Smith. Then he got Indianapolis, who can't stop anything. Then Buffalo, then New England again. So Ryan Tannehill could be very, very valuable to you for quite a while there on your fantasy teams. So there are my waiver wire pickups. Anyone else you want to add to that?
No, I think you got it all. For some reason, if Buck Allen is still available, I would be looking at him.
I still can't believe it, though. I just can't.
I still can't believe that he's the de facto goal line back for Baltimore. I really thought Alex Collins would have been it, but Buck Allen scored a touchdown. He's going to be touchdown dependent, but he's getting them. They're putting him in that opportunity to get those.
Yeah.
So if he's there for running backs, if you're desperate and you need somebody, he might be a home run kind of guy for you.
That's it. Hey, guys, you guys want more waiver wire pickups? And you guys want to know how to win in DFS this week? Well, guess what? Oh, yeah. FantasyAlarm.com/Rouse. That's my last name. It's R-A-U-S. It's the shortest of everyone's name, so I'm the easiest to remember. You go to that, you get a free week. This week free, week 4. You get everything from waiver wire pickups, league sync, where you can sync your leagues, tell you what free agents to pick up based on points. It's beautiful. Lineup generators to generate lineups. Maybe Tannehill will be in the lineups this week and help you win money in FanDuel. We give you rankings weekly, seasonal, and DFS. We tell you strictly how to win, and even give you optimal lineups on Sunday morning before kickoff. It's perfect, and it's all free for 1 week to try. Then it's only like a really cheap, like $19 a month after that. What's $19 to win 100 every week? Come on, people. Do it. I personally back it. And I will say, you'll make everyone your bitch. Just ask the Fantasy Alarm. 500K winners. 2 last year. That's right. 2 of 17 play and get all their information from Fantasy Alarm. And you can too. Thanks, guys. Free. Wow. I think, like I said, the show is now an hour and a half. I think that's what we've decided.
We have no choice. We have to. We're trying to condense it down as much as we can.
Yeah. A lot of information with all these games going on. I think the bye weeks will help it a little bit going forward, a little bit shorter, could put more segments, more games. I know people want to hear more games, like the Browns game we did and some other ones. I'll be doing stuff going forward as we now begin into the bye weeks. We have less to talk about, which is great. A couple less games, less things to boggle my mind, like the Minnesota loss to Buffalo.
Oh, man.
But, this year so far after 3 games, really close in a lot of aspects of all the divisions and a lot of things. I think this year is shaping up to be one of the weirdest, craziest years in football. Not as chalk as it has been for the last few. And I think we're in for a great year, and I hope that everybody watches every Monday night in order to find out what we have to say and what the pundits are saying about the NFL as we go forward. What's a hit? What's not a hit? Who are the Buffalo Bills? Is Josh Allen really Johnny Unitas? How many Super Bowl rings will Pat Mahomes win this year?
14.
14. He's going to win 14 Super Bowl rings this year. All right, Anthony, you got a plug? So plug away, buddy. Plug away.
You can just find me on Twitter at Zaragoza Anthony. Make sure you watch out for our There's Hope for Their poll of the week. So follow me there. Make sure you're following Fantasy Alarm.
Interesting defense
there's
pick. I
hope
like it.
for there.
That's right. There's hope for there.
that little soundbite will never get old.
Nope, never.
It's just liquid gold. But yeah, definitely follow Edward Rouse on Twitter. Make sure you're following Fantasy Alarm. Tune in, guys. We got some great information coming up in the next few weeks, so make sure you're tuning in and have a blast.
Yep. Go for it. Go for it.
And make sure you tune in for another hateful Patrick Mahomes rant by Edward Rouse.
Maybe I'll do a pop-up show on Saturday and just bitch about Pat Mahomes for an hour. People
right
would love
before
that.
his game?
Right before his game. Yep. And maybe he'll call in the bat line.
The bat line.
All right, guys. Next week we got bye week, so a little bit the show won't be as long. I will have a game next week as well as believe it or not. Of course, there's hope for their weekly NFL poll. So get involved with that on Anthony's Twitter, like you said, at Zaragoza Anthony and at Monday Night Rants and at Edward Rouse. And thank you guys for tuning in each and every week. It's a lot of fun just for me to be able to pop up on a Saturday and getting that many people involved and calling in and having a good time. I have a new thing next week where I'll be able to open up the phone lines with Anthony here, so he'll be able to listen to. New technology is always great here on the show, and new technology is my friend. So, from all of us here at Monday Night Rants and Anthony Zaragoza, and to next week and to this week of football, man, what a great Thursday matchup we have. Minnesota and the Rams. Enjoy the game, even though I hate Thursday games. From all of us here at the show, and until next Monday, always remember to spay and neuter your pets. Boom.